Hello, fellow Amazonian. Welcome to Liberation TV. This is Major General Vela, one-on-one live from the studio. Today, I want to start by presenting to you a 20-minute broadcast. It's actually a rebroadcast from Professor Dr. Carlson Anyangwe. Professor Dr. Carlson Anyangwe has presented our case in a very logical and simplest form which anyone can ever understand. In fact, what Carlson Anyangwe did, I went through, is what we can use to present to anywhere, be it in the United Nations, be it in America. It is well articulated about our decolonization. So everyone should share as I bring this one first. Let us appreciate what is good, so that when people do what is bad, we criticize. Something actually that's so nice that he did, not even a year ago. But I want Amazonian people to listen to that. Thank you so much. Welcome again to Liberation TV. And I want you to listen to that. And thank you. Welcome. Listen to Professor Dr. Carlson Anyangwe.
Certainly observed in the Southwest African case that it is a serious indictment on the African continent that some African states, themselves beneficiaries of the right to self-determination, soon became latter-day colonizers of less fortunate peoples in countries that happen to be their neighbors. And that is exactly the situation we are living. So it is not only Morocco pretending to have the territory of the Western Sahara, it is French Cameroon that has been laying claim to the Southern Cameroons. Even as we saw the presentation, Nigeria at one time for 40 years was laying claim to the Southern Cameroons as part of Nigeria. The fact that our anti-colonial struggle is firmly located and situated in international law. Everything we have done is consistent with international law. We've not broken one single word of international law. And we advisedly from the beginning decided that we must stay within the framework of international law. To begin with, you do have the United Nations 1960 binding declaration on the granting of independence to colonial countries and peoples, United Nations General Assembly, Resolution 15 of the 14th December 1960. 5 things I must highlight. It says that the subjection of peoples to alien subjugation, domination, and exploitation constitute a denial of fundamental human rights, is contrary to the Charter of the United Nations, and is an impediment to the promotion of world peace and cooperation. 2, that all peoples have the right to self-determination, and that by virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. 3, that inadequacy of preparation, be it political, economic, social, or educational preparedness, shall never serve as a pretext for delaying independence. 4, that all armed action or repressive measures of all kinds directed against dependent peoples shall cease in order to enable them to exercise peacefully and freely their right to complete independence and the integrity of their national territory, which must be respected. Finally, that immediate steps shall be taken in trust and non-self-governing territories or all other territories which have not attained independence to transfer all powers to the peoples of those territories without any condition or reservation, in accordance with their freely expressed will and desire, in order to enable them to enjoy complete independence and freedom. That's the first thing I want to draw attention to. provision of the binding United Nations Declaration of 1960. Second thing to draw your attention to, one of the foundational principles of the African Union is the principle of the intangibility of borders as obtained on the date of achievement of independence of each African state. French Cameroon achieved independence from France on 1st January 1960, and its frontier became frozen on that date. That disentitles French Cameroon from claiming territory beyond those frontiers. Any such claim is a territorial aggrandizement claim, which is impermissible under international law. There has been no subsequent boundary treaty modifying the international boundary of French Cameroon. International boundaries established by treaty are not changed by verbal political statements or by violence for that matter. Long ago, the Stimson Doctrine denied recognition to territorial changes obtained by force, by subterfuge, or other measures contrary to international law. And the United Nations has repeatedly reaffirmed this. And that is why the principle of non-recognition of territories acquired against international law is not a well-established principle under international law. 3, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights recognizes in Article 20, 1, the right of all peoples to existence. 2, the unquestionable and inalienable right of all peoples to self-determination. 3, the right of colonized or oppressed peoples to free themselves from the bonds of domination. And 4, the right of colonized or oppressed people to resort to any means recognized by the international community to free themselves from the bonds of domination. I submit to you that the people of Ambazonia constitute indeed a people within the meaning of international law. And this was reaffirmed by the African Human Rights Commission in his ruling in Kevin Gumni against Republic of Cameroon. That was, I say, reaffirmed, because if you look at United Nations resolution referring to a Southern Cameroons, they always take the trouble, the pain, they always take the trouble, and I prefer to say, they refer to the people of the Southern Cameroon. It's always their people. So the Southern Cameroon was not and has never been a nondescript territory. It's not some virgin land which is just available for anybody to move in and pick. It has a population. It has a people. The next thing you might want to ask is, what about French Cameroon? Is it an alien country in relation to Ambazonia? Here too I submit to you that yes, indeed, it is an alien country, a foreign country in relation to Ambazonia. First, the colonial history of French Cameroon dates from the inception of German colonization in 1884. But you recall that our own colonial history goes far back before then, many years before then. So the fiction, which has already been propagandistically promoted by French Cameroon, that we are one because of a so-called German colonization. German colonization was in French Cameroon's side. We were, before that time, under British colonial rule. Second reason why French Cameroon is an alien country, a foreign country in relation to Ambazonia. In theory of law, the British Cameroon and French Cameroon were separate, new legal and political entities created in 1922 by the political force represented by the mandate system. Before then, there was no such known entity. known as French Cameroon or British Cameroon. The juridical basis of existence of French Cameroon and the international basis of the frontier that exists between French Cameroon and Ambazonia dates as far from the Mandate system transmuted into the Scottish system after the Second World War. So we're talking about two separate and distinct territories, separated by territorially grounded boundary treaties, which are available. And this cannot be changed. It would be a complete mockery of international law. Further, the Southern Cameroon has never had any connection with France. Never. It has no ties and has never had any ties with France, whether historical, political, colonial, economic, social, or cultural. France, of course, has been using French Cameroon as proxy state to access the wealth and natural resources of the Southern Cameroon. But otherwise, we have no connection whatsoever with France. Whereas French Cameroon has that connection in every respect. And often, French Cameroon prides itself when making speeches, recalling the very fruitful relationship they had with France, going back into history, economic relations, political relations, social relations, cultural relations, and so on and so forth. There's no such thing as far as Ambazonia is concerned. And there's not one dime of French developmental investment in Ambazonia. Not one. So again, two distinct and separate territories. One firmly anchored within the French mold, and another having no such connection. Ambazonia shared with French Cameroon a short-lived period of German colonization. It was too short, and I will submit, less than a quarter of a century, in fact about just about 22 years. And as we saw in the film, by 1907, 1910, the Germans were still trying to pacify under unclaimed territory. Remember, international law had changed at the Berlin Conference. No more can a colonial power arrive at the coast of Africa, claim the coast, and say it is claiming the hinterland. No, that used to be the case. Once you land at the coast, the hinterland, it was called the sphere of influence. You claimed it. In 1884, at the Berlin Conference, they changed that narrative and said, no, there must be effective occupation. There must be effective occupation. And that is why, when the British transferred part of that territory to the Germans in 1887, the Germans, who were already in part of French Cameroon, what they call French Cameroon, now had to start the task to effectively occupy, because without effective occupation, the Germans could not claim any such territory. And they moved into our territory by 1893, fought the war, as we saw here, with the King of Boya. And they started pushing upwards, claiming territory. Each time they claimed territory, they planted the German flag, and so on. Unfortunately for the Germans, the war came when they had not been still completed. And you will see the boundary treaties between German Cameroon and Nigeria, and also between German Cameroon and French Equatorial Africa. You notice those treaties were only concluded when? In 1913, later part 1913. So those boundary treaties, the boundaries were not certain at that time. Unfortunately for Germany, less than a year later, the war broke out. So I'm saying the period of German colonization was so brief as never to have elicited any sense of oneness between the inhabitants of our homeland and the inhabitants of French Cameroon. And that is why it was so very easy that when the French got a part of what French Cameroon, they easily amputated two major parts of it. One part was called the Duck B. That part went to France, a part of Central African Republic. The other part is called the New Cameroon, which, as you saw on the map, German Cameroon went down right down to the Congo. That was part of it. So the French simply amputated those parts and reabsorbed them into French Equatorial Africa. And up to today, no one has argued or can possibly argue that those territories, because at one time they're part of German descent, are therefore part of French Cameroon and should constitute a so-called one and indivisible country. And I'll submit to you further that if you were to buy that theory, which of course under international law makes no sense, because historical consolidation has been rejected by international law, if we start talking about history, I'll submit to you that Corsica, Nice, Savoy, Alsace-Lorraine would go back to where they came from. Alsace-Lorraine will go back to Germany. Nice, Savoy, and Nice will go back to Italy. If that thing about history were to be found very valid. I also submit to you that if you buy that theory, Senegal will be able to claim what? The Gambia. Eritrea, of course, will go back to what? To Ethiopia. Djibouti and northeast Kenya will back to Somaliland. The point I'm making is that kind of discourse, that kind of narrative is very destabilizing for world order. I'll even say that if you buy that, then the whole of Western Europe should be claimed by the Turks as part of the Ottoman Empire. Or Italy will claim the whole of Europe, part of the Roman Empire. French Cameroon itself, the whole northern part called Abadamawa, will be claimed by Nigeria because Nigeria exercised colonial sovereignty over that part of the territory. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying this kind of language cannot be sustained and must be rejected outright. But this is the kind of narrative, this is the kind of propaganda which the current colonial occupier of Amazonia is projecting and must be rejected. Next, I would submit there is the issue of the plebiscite. Sometimes when these things are raised, people said, oh, but there was a plebiscite at which you decided to join French Cameroon. No. The very concept, the very notion, the very decision by the United Nations to organize the plebiscite in the Southern Cameroon had legal implications. The first one was that the acceptance, the admission, and the establishment of the fact that Amazonia had international personality, and that it has a clear identity, and it's a country separate and distinct from either Nigeria or from French Cameroon. So a distinct territory. And the United Nations kept on saying that the British should never do anything in their administration so as to lose the identity of the Southern Cameroons. Another implication for organizing a plebiscite is that the Southern Cameroons, Amazonia, belongs to the people of the Southern and to no one else. The people of that territory constitute a unit of self-determination. So when people start talking about the sovereignty over the Southern, that sovereignty vests only in the people of the Southern Cameroon. And no other people, no other country, no other territory can claim a superior right over the right of the people of that territory to that territory. It also means that the international community and international law recognizes that the people of the Southern Cameroons or Amazonia are entitled to self-determination as an inalienable right that inures to them. And that is why the Southern Cameroon frontiers which were neither demarcated, delimited by the people of the Southern Cameroon or French Cameroon, but by the powers. Britain, the boundary with Nigeria, frontier with Nigeria between Britain and Germany, and the boundary with French Cameroon between Britain and France. Those borders still remain and will ever remain. Nothing can change them until you have a subsequent treaty that can do that, but that hasn't happened. Of course, the other question that may be asked, what about ethnicity? I've heard people say that. Again, there is no substantial ethnic connection between Amazonia and French Cameroon. What did you have in certain localities, you have ethnic communities that sit across the common frontier. But this phenomenon is a common phenomenon you find everywhere in Africa. On the other side of Nigeria, you have communities that sit across the common frontier. Nigeria had tried to use that also as a means for claiming the Southern Cameroon a part of Nigeria. That was rejected by the international community. So French Cameroon cannot use the fact they have some localized communities that sit across the frontier and say, because of that, therefore you are part of French Cameroon. Again, that also must be rejected. You look at all Africa, you have the same phenomenon. Even in Europe, you have the same phenomenon. For communities, human beings are human beings. They want to feel where they are. And in any case, these boundaries were not delimited, defined, and demarcated, taking into account ethnicity. So that fact must be discounted as a reason for saying that Ambazonia is part of French Cameroon. Again, I will submit, if we were to say that, then Kuwait should not even exist today. It should be part of Iraq. If we were to say that, then East Timor should not exist. It should be part of Indonesia. If we were to say that, then Bangladesh and Pakistan should not even exist. They should be part of India. I mean, I can multiply this example, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. That's to show the absurdity of asserting that because you have ethnic connection, therefore, the people involved with that ethnic connection constitute one country. Modern states are not founded on ethnicity. I will submit to you that there has emerged under international law a general rule imposing a duty of non-recognition of territorial and other situations brought about in breach of international law. That one is firmly well established under international law. And then you might ask, what is the evidence of colonization of Ambazonia by French Cameroon? I'll take you back to 1959. At the United Nations, when the question of the independence of the Southern Cameroon was being discussed at the United Nations, questions were raised about, if you saw the thing there, this is a small territory with competing claims. Nigeria want to grab, French Cameroon want to grab. And the question was asked, what guarantees do we have that this territory is not going to be grabbed by either of its larger neighbors? The president of French Cameroon, Amadou Ahidjo, mounted the rostrum, the UN General Assembly, and said, I'm giving you my undertaking and my country, that under no circumstances are we going to annex or colonize the British Southern Cameroons. Because if we did, that would spell the death knell for those peoples. All we want is a model vivendi with these people. That is his declaration in 1959 before the United Nations. The rest is history. French Cameroon never kept his word. Now the plebiscite question was framed, do you wish to achieve independence by joining Nigeria or French Cameroon? I want to call attention to the fact that the phraseology of that plebiscite question was advisedly done. The United Nations could simply have said, do you want to join Nigeria or do you want to join French Cameroon? They could simply have said so. They chose to say, do you wish to achieve independence? The reason is simple. The law of the United Nations and the creation of mandatory and trust territory was not to enable their colonization by successive or latter-day colonizers. Those territories, by virtue of Article 76B of the United Nations Charter, had to be led to independent self-government. They had to. So the United Nations could not simply have said, do you want to join? That would mean they were transferring the territory without having achieved the objective of the United Nations Charter to another country. And so they said, do you wish to achieve independence? So independence had to be achieved before the question of joining. And that joining also, even, was an eventuality that had to come on the completion of certain due processes. So the achievement of independence had to be, and that is why if you look at the United Nations General Assembly, Resolution 1608, 15 of the 25th April 1961, it endorsed the independence, it says, endorsed the decision of the people of the Southern Cameroon to achieve independence. When it came to joining, it said, urges the concerned parties to enter into quick talks and negotiation and finalize the arrangement by which this joining was going to take place. Two-stage thing, independence. Then the question of joining, it left it to the parties to negotiate that and to finalize that, because the Independence Day was set for 1st October 1961. So, that was our plebiscite thing. But what happened? Disaster struck. On the 1st of September, French Cameroon, knowing very well, the United Nations has set 1st of October as the date of independence. On the 1st of September, in its parliament, it decided to annex an annexation law, claiming the Southern Cameroon as part of its territory that had been returned to it by Great Britain and the United Nations. Incredible as it is. It did that. And then it all concealed all of that by a pretended so-called federation. You can't have a federation between countries. Only one party decides of what kind of federation is going to be. So that was what I call an absorptive federation. On the 30th of September, on the eve of that independence, the British, and this has always thrown me at loggerheads with the British, even when I go to the UK. They invited a foreign leader. The president of French Cameroon was a foreign head of state, had nothing to do with the Southern Cameroon. They invited him to the Southern Cameroons and transferred power to him. You would have thought that they would transfer to the functional government. There was a government in Boya. There was a government in the Southern Cameroon. There was a prime minister. They would have transferred power to him. But no. They invited this foreign head of state who landed in Amazonia, and then they transferred power. An incredible situation of the British transferring power over its colonial territory to another country that has nothing whatsoever to do with the colonization of that territory. And then French Cameroon took the territory over as successor colonial authority in the Southern Cameroon. So on 1st October, instead of there being independence, what did people witness? French Cameroon sent a pro-consul to take over the Southern Cameroon, send a military force, send a gendarmerie force, and the whole country was occupied. There was no decolonization. The United Nations had said the trusteeship was going to end on the 1st of October. Yes, indeed the trusteeship ended. The British left. But that did not mean the Southern Cameroon achieved independence. That is why we make the case that there was simply a succession of colonial authorities. The end of British rule, the commencement of French Cameroon rule. And that is why you find that this whole thing, protests, since 1961, 62, every year people have been protesting, but every protest has been met with violent repression until the people felt the only security for them, as they have a right to existence, was to accept the independence which they voted for, which was endorsed by the United Nations. And they proclaimed that independence under the sovereign name of Federal Republic of Amazonia. The rest is history. The repression, the genocidal attack on the people, which was launched. A whole army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Land Force, invaded that small territory. As we speak, there are no less than 15,000 military men from French Cameroon occupying the Southern Cameroons with tanks, with helicopter gunship, and all of this, the whole territory. The whole territory is being occupied, and our people are fighting back. And like was remarked there, we are fighting back, as we must do. We are bound by the law of the United Nations and domestic law to fight back in self-defense, and our fighting, of course, constitutes a just fight and a just war. Thank you very much.
fellow Amazonians, everyone that is watching, please share the talk show so that the case that was presented by Dr. Professor Carlson Anyangwe, he did and articulated everything very well. And I think that each and every one of us can see and can hear how he presented the case without any iota of doubt, with a lot of confidence, with a lot of hope. Like he presented it like that, like never before. So we want to, with the spirit of the Republic, let us put hands together for Professor Dr. Carlson Anyangwe. Please, everyone should give a thumb up for him. Let me look at it and see if everyone is giving thumbs up for that, which is, as we always do, the spirit of the Republic. We are bound to support what is right and stand with when anyone do something that is right. So please, everyone, please give Professor Dr. Carlson Anyangwe some love. Press the love button for him, please, everyone that's watching now. That is to encourage each and every statesman to, whenever they are out, to present our case. They should present our case with facts and reality, like we have just listened from Dr. Professor Carlson Anyangwe. I think that if Dr. Professor Carlson Anyangwe do not speak like this, the only person is Dr. Cho Ayaba. I will not see anyone in Amazonia that can present very coherently and very monochromatic like Dr. Carlson just did, apart from Dr. Cho Ayaba. So I want to thank all the people that are able to articulate our people's aspiration without any iota of doubt, because if anyone listen to this, they will know that the people know whatever they want and where they are going to. This itself speak for itself that we are not lost people. We do not just nick on and beckon like bees in the lost desert. We come with we have point, we have facts of what we are looking for as a people. As a people, the people. Like you have said, you have heard repeatedly Dr. Professor Carlson Anyangwe saying it so many times. With respect to the international law. With respect to the international law, we do not speak with fufu mentality or local mentality or primitive mentality, but with respect to international law. And that is one reason why we continue to say that we should respect the Geneva Convention, which we coin it as the Code of Conduct. So I want to thank each and every one that have sacrificed your time to be here. I would want you all to share and invite. And also, I'm going to enter some few things, fellow brothers and sisters. I would want to thank the people of Bui for also understanding the reality. I am not against the people who stand to support each and every leader or whatever, but it happened that the people of Bui were deceived. And if we wouldn't have gone deep into the deep causes of the problem in Bui, we could have or might have not understood the problem of Bui. What happened to be that there was a controversy where the people of Bui were still thinking that Ayok Seseku Tabi and Samuel Sako are working together. And that is why Bui became a shackle or was ramshackled. There was confusion in the leadership. So the people from Bui were still deceived because they watch ABC TV every time. And they were thinking that Dr. Samuel Sako takes leadership from Ayok Seseku Tabi. And so the people of Bui were confused. And in them, they know that Ayok Seseku Tabi is a leader for Amazonia. And so they knew that Dr. Sako is a mouthpiece of Ayok Seseku Tabi. This is getting into the root cause of what happened in Bui, that we are getting all these things. And for so many people who understood that Seseku Ayok Tabi and Samuel Sako do not work together again, each and everyone becomes surprised, like, oh, wow, who, Jumoy, Abai, the Suirua. So people were exclaiming in this form. And so that's why we decided to hold our horses and take ourselves to educate our people more. Because it happened that our people did not know the reality. And that's why I've hired 2 audios already to the people on SO and to the SO platform to educate the people to understand since the people believe that Ayok Seseku Tabi is a leader, and they were still convinced that Samuel Sako was the representative of Ayok Seseku Tabi. And then when we came to tell the people that Daphne Yerima is the representative, the vice president of Ayok Seseku Tabi, the people were surprised. And therefore, people have also blamed Daphne Yerima for being docile or sessile. And therefore, we are going to recommend comrade, the vice president Daphne Yerima, to step up his communication, because the people are also wondering why he has been so dormant. That is what the people say. I don't know if he's been so dormant, but the people blame him for this miscommunication. The people say that the person they have been seeing is Chris Ano and Sako, probably in ABC TV. And so the people were still thinking that they represent the original IG. And so the people of Bui did not know that there are two factions of IG that exist. And so I made it clear to them that actually, during the time they impeached Ayok Seseku Tabi, there was already some disagreement or grievances between Ayok Seseku Tabi and Sako because of mismanagement of public funds. And I made them understand that Ayok Seseku Tabi is a good person who is a father that loves unity. But however, that when Ayok Seseku Tabi discovered that the money that was raised in my trip to Buea, which probably was 2 million, even though the embezzler himself says he embezzled on the 1.3 million US dollars. So I let the people understood that the reason why there was a separation between Ayok Seseku Tabi and Sako was because of the embezzlement of public funds or mismanagement of my trip to Buea. That part of the money could have gone to Bui instead of the Bui County worldwide raising money to help the soldiers in Ground Zero after the failure of my trip to Buea. And so our people started now understanding the realities on the ground. And so I made them know and understood that from the time Ayok Seseku Tabi was impeached, our leader that with so much love, who articulated and pronounced our independence, that above all, history has already recorded him as a leader, and he is in jail because of the nation. And of course, everyone in Bui knows Seseku Ayok Tabi is a president, is a leader. And so when I mentioned that, the people's mentality started changing. And so we would want Daphne Yerima, the VP, to step up with communication to reach out to communities, because the people blame partially him for not communicating. And so people are trapped in Chris Ano and Sako's manipulation. So the people of Bui, we are victims of Sako, and the people did not know that actually the money that goes to Bui warriors do not come from Sako. For the first time, even the soldiers fighting under Bui warriors came to understand that the funds is not coming from Sako, but from the people of Bui themselves. And so Elvis Vekijika is also blamed by the forces for manipulating them and saying that Sako was the one sending the money. And so many stakeholders in Bui are also very disappointed that they would contribute money and give to the Bui County worldwide, and they will go and present to the forces that the money is from Sako. So we came to realize that the county by county and local government by local government strategy is already ramified to an extent where our people are so confused. And so anything that comes under county by county, the people know that it's under Sako. And therefore, that is one of the pending impediments that we are facing during this most challenging period of time. And so my people, if there's anything I could do, I would do it, but I try to educate the people as much as possible. And the reason why I humbled myself to go close to the people was because as a son of the land, as a citizen, as a pro-citizen of the nation, I have vowed that anything that will lead to the death of any one of us is a national problem. And that anything that will lead to a deletion or lead to the loss of lives in Amazonia is not actually a state problem, but a national problem. and it's a duty for each and every one of us to quench the fire. The fire, therefore, cannot be quenched when you don't go to the deep causes of the problem. And so also there's one thing that we came to understand, that you cannot stop fire by running behind the smoke. And if you keep on running behind the smoke, by the time you realize, the fire must have consumed the entire house. In what was going on in Bui, we see that it was soon going to extend to other states of Amazonia. Example like Donga, example like other states of Amazonia. And so it is our duty to make sure that we solve the problem diligently. Fellow brothers and sisters, my fellow comrades, fellow compatriots, fellow Amazonians, I want to thank each and everyone that put their voices to the issue that occur in Bui. And therefore, henceforth, we will expect that ADF weapons be returned. And therefore, we would also expect to have accountability of the 39 soldiers of Amazonia that are in custody of Buiworio. And so they will need to say proof of life, to show us proof of lives, or wherever the mass grave was, just like the one in Donga in Gabu. So fellow Amazonians, don't lose focus. God is still saying something. God has been saying something. As much as we believe in ourselves. Seeing God have said there's no food for lazy man, which means we have to work hard for all we endeavor. And therefore, we must all believe in ourselves and no one else but on ourselves. And we must understand that even if the Ambassador Cohen in the US are talking, they are talking because we are working so hard for our cause. And we should also believe and also accept the fact that even any country talking, they are only talking for our sake, but they will not help us in firepower. And there is one thing that is merciful truth that we must all understand, that there is no nation on earth without guns and bullets. And therefore, every country on earth protects itself and defends itself using guns and bullets. And also believing in Newton's state law of relativity, which says that for every action or every force, there's an equal but opposite reaction. And therefore, when you give a momentum, the impact should also reflect the momentum. And therefore, I believe in that Newton's state law. The people of Amazonia must exhibit equal but opposite force to La République du Cameroon, a force of magnitude with a lot of consequential effects to the adversity. We cannot continue to be orphans and crying when we know every single day our children are becoming orphans. And therefore, we cannot play the side of losers. And we will not also continue to be Judas Iscariot in this problem. We will not continue to be sellout. We continue to stand tall and strong. Because a nation, people that stand strong are those who live. And those who cannot stand strong are being crushed. And that is why we say, and the world has continued to say it, life is survival of the fittest. And we will ask ourselves that now today in the 21st century, just like in the 17th century, people used to survive as a matter of braveness. And so in the 21st century, you'd rather be surprised that actually we still have to survive as a matter of survival of the fittest. And therefore, we are bound to use every means at our disposal to protect our humanity. And again, international law itself acknowledges the right to self-determination and the right to self-defense. As humans in the 21st century, we have the right to coexist. Whether or not the whole world wants us to exist. Whether or not the international community wants us to exist. We as a people must not take any excuse or must not take any right from anyone to exist. No one on earth should declare our right to existence except us. We must declare our right to exist. We must continue to exist, and it's a matter of must, because we are a people, the people. And any human being on earth, personally, individually, has a right to exist. Not to talk of a collective people, which we are. Looking at Article 1608 of the United Nations Charter, We do not grant ourselves that. It's our status that we must exist as a people. And therefore, I call Amazonian people to believe more in ourselves, more in themselves. Stop being lazy people by running behind Oyobo people to come help you. That's an act of laxity and laziness. For any society where meritocracy is the order of the day, laxity and laziness are dismissed. And so if we are fighting to have freedom for ourselves, for our children, for our own generation, we will not continue to believe in external agents. We are the one to enjoy, just as we are the one that have suffered. And so we know the best, and we can do better as a people whenever we stop believing on external people, believe in ourselves. Life is very easy to succeed, but then you must always believe in yourself. But believing in yourself does not mean take the Bible or take the crucifix and pray every day and take the name of Jesus Christ, the sign of the cross. But what is the prerogatives? What is the roadmap? What is the strategy? What are the ideologies we are using? Because even if we pray day and night, working so hard, sleeping in the bushes in the refugee camp without any strategy to foster and bring the enemy down on their nails, we will continue to live as slaves, even by ourselves. And so I'm calling you, my dearest brothers and sisters, fellow comrades, fellow compatriots, citizens of the new nation that exists on earth, fellow Amazonians, rise up. It's time for us to believe once more in ourselves. It's time for us to believe one more that yes, we can. If the people of Eritrea is a small little country, if the people of Eritrea could do it, we, the more than 8 million, I know we are a population of 12 million, we can do it. The people of Gambia, we are only 1.7 million when they battered Senegal until Senegal could not breathe. They suffocated Senegal, their economy was all blackened, destroyed the economy, sabotage everything, the social, socio-economic and social activities of Gambia until Gambia could not breathe. They choked Gambia, and Gambia surrendered and split Senegal from their throne. Senegal was only 1.7 million, not even up to 2 million people fought and achieved their independence. And today in Africa, one of the greatest African court exists in Gambia. Gambia become one of the greatest nations in Africa. I must tell you people, when Robert Mugabe was fighting from Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe drove all the Oyobo people from Zimbabwe, and he refused to ratify anything. Even the United Nations, Robert Mugabe rubbished international United Nations. Facts, quote unquote. That's why Zimbabwe remained a nation and not a state. For those who study international politics, you would all understand there's a difference between a state and a nation state. In fact, countries exist as states, nation states, and nation. And if time permit me, I would like to define to you what a state is. A state is a country that has a membership in the United Nations. A nation is a country that necessarily does not have a membership in the United Nations, but made up of the people that speak one particular language. But then you have a nation state, a people that exist. They have a membership in the United Nations and speak one unique language. Probably South Korea is a nation state. Probably Korea is a nation because Korea does not ratify with the United Nations. North Korea. And they speak one unique language. So they are called a nation. But if you have a country that speaks one unique language, I don't know, maybe Tanzania, and Tanzania is a member state of the United Nations, then Tanzania qualified to be a nation state. This is international politics itself. So my fellow brothers and sisters, with or without United Nations, yes, we can exist. According to the international politics. As a people, you self-determine yourself, you live the way you want to live. United Nations is just a facilitator of peace. And we can do like Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, and say, shut up United Nations, we shall exist. Say, shut up African Union, you are a piece of crap. Fellow brothers and sisters, I want to tell you, in life, when you want to succeed, and you must succeed, and it's a matter of must, You are on your own, you count on yourself, and you believe in yourself. And therefore, I call all the stakeholders, all leaders of Amazonia, the youth of Amazonia, believe much in yourself than in Oyobo people or Western people. We shall live in our land. It's gonna be for us. It's not gonna be for them. The more we involve the West, the more they shall come to kidnap our resources that we are fighting to preserve for our children. And so if we fight among ourselves and succeed, we shall know how to manage our resources and take care of our children. Make sure our children have quality education. Make sure we have enough money in our coffers in national budget to build reputable hospitals, referral hospitals, cardiac centers, build a lot of reputable academic institutions, tie our roots, develop our economy. Make sure that no son of our nation should die on the street because he's a homeless. Make sure there are no homeless people in our nation. In Africa, homelessness is not our fashion. It's not our culture. Make sure that every orphan have a befitable life. Make sure that every youth have a job. Create employment opportunities for our population. We have a population of 85% that is made of the youth and the young. We're going to create more companies, bring jobs into our land by creating very good atmosphere for our people and for foreign investors. Once our socio-political atmosphere is safe and conducive for investment, it is going to attract so many international investors. Once we build Victoria, rebuild Victoria, and make sure and rebrand Victoria, it's going to attract so many businesses that operate around that milieu. Fellow Amazonians, God has gifted us and endowed us with a lot of resources that we don't even need to depend on any external agent for our sovereignty and our well-being. We shall be indeed one of the most greatest nations in Africa, and not even in Africa but on earth. We have everything. God has given us all the cash crops. We have one of the biggest timbers in the world. We have one of the biggest plantations not only in Central Africa, not only in West Africa, not only in Africa, but in the world. We have fertile soil, loam soil, sandy soil. God has blessed us with everything. We have a lot of gold and diamond. Kambe Industrial Region. In the Bambara Mountains that I used to go and hunt in the Bambara Mountains, I saw a lot of things linked to petroleum in the Bambara Mountains, as the German installed back in the era of the Germans before the 1940s. And yes, I will lead the nation to those places to go and see, because I see it myself. So our nation can see and begin to mine those things and take care of the well-being of our people. I can assure you that based on CIA report in 2001, Cameroon became number 6 on earth in terms of cocoa production. But we know, between me and you, cocoa comes from Amazonia. Cocoa does not grow in La République du Cameroon. Based on CIA report in 2002, Cameroon became number 8 on earth in terms of coffee production. But we know that coffee does not grow in La République du Cameroon. We know all the coffee came from Amazonia. And so when I studied petroleum and mining and eldest extraction, I discovered that Cameroon annexed Amazonia in 1972 in the fake Fumban Conference. In that Fumban Conference, the reason why actually they annexed Amazonia, Cameroon was not ready to have any treaty with Amazonia, and that is why our come together of the plebiscite had no union treaty. The reason was because this land was still undiscovered, and there were no hope that this land could have any single ores of aluminium, not to talk about gold, diamond, and oil. And therefore, the Americans that were moving around in the coast of Africa and making survey about the availability of petroleum and crude oil, they came to discover in the triangle of Sao Tome, Principe, and in the Gulf of Guinea that there was a lot of petroleum. And so because Ahidjo was the president at the time, they had secret information, so they informed Ahidjo that, you know, this area has a lot of crude oil. And so Ahidjo hurriedly went and annexed Amazonia by wiping the federal state and bringing a unitary state. Now, how do I prove you that this is right? That is why in 1970, you remember that the referendum, the Fumban Fake Conference, was in 1972. By 1975, they brought the first refinery plan. I meant that structure to mine crude oil. to produce crude oil in 1975. In 1977. In 1977, that American company started Sonara, the mining of crude oil in Amazonia. In 1979, with the presence of crude tolls, old archaic tolls, Cameroon was able to steal 100,000 barrels of petrol from Amazonia, and this is based on CIA report. These are facts. You can't cheat facts. In 1979, barely 7 years after the annexation of Amazonia, Cameroon was stealing 100,000 barrels of petroleum daily from Amazonia. Every day. I don't say a month. Every day, 100,000 barrels. And when I did my research, in 2001, Cameroon was still able to be stealing more than 65,000 barrels of petrol every day from Amazonia. As we are speaking, if not for the fact, thanks and grace to God, that Sonara is no more. Cameroon government was still stealing more than 50,000 barrels of petroleum from Amazonia on daily basis. And some people say we should not smoke it down. And yet you want to have independence. It is our petroleum indeed that has been fueling Cameroon government military. Without that, that's why Cameroon is unable to pay the salaries of their civil servants. These are facts. You cannot distort facts. Fellow Amazonians, this is the reason why we must fight, and this is the reason why we must have only independence. Paul Biya is a thief. Cameroon are vandals and vagabonds. These are thieves. These are professional thieves. Cameroon is a no nation. It's an alien country in our land. We must smoke Cameroon to hell, to the gates of hell, till the last man standing. We must make sure that no Cameroon official will breathe in our land. We must make sure that the army of pre-occupation in our land must be smoked to the gate of hell. To our right to self-determination, we must make sure that the Mongol Bridge goes down. That is a priority. The Mongol Bridge must divide and fall like the Berlin Wall went down. The Mongol Bridge is our Berlin Wall and must go down. It is a matter of urgency. We must take it across the Mongol. We will not keep on standing and taking the game of weaknesses and crying every day as victims. We must, as a matter of fact, take it across the Mongol. We must make sure that the enemy feel how it takes to lost like we have just lost in Tonga Mato. Without withstanding the killing of our people in Santa Pinin, without withstanding what happened in the University of Boya, without withstanding what happened in the University of Bamenda, without withstanding what happened in Bello, and how they have caused in-house fight among us fellow brothers and sisters. We must understand the reason why we disagree so much among us, that we want to take life of each and everyone, because Cameroon declared war on us and they are the engineer behind us, sowing seeds of discord in anywhere where we gather. That's why any unity we go together always shatter. And I want to call Amazonian to understand that for anywhere you go to gather in unity, be aware that Cameroon is running behind to shatter it. And therefore, we should learn to solve our problems. Therefore, I challenge all stakeholders and leaders, frontliners and activists to be problem solvers. Be solution-oriented critics. When you criticize, bring out a solution. Do not hate. The act of hate has caused us to lose so many soldiers in Bui. And therefore, we are re-strategizing and vitalizing our winning spirit back again. We want to be briefed. We want to be briefed again like ever before. We want to hear, I have been briefed, I have been briefed, I have been briefed. There is no one in Amazonia that hates to be briefed. Especially when it means sending terrorists to Tar Satan. Fellow brothers and sisters, Tar Satan is hungry. Tar Satan is hungry. We want to make sure Tar Satan he eats and have enough food for his demons. Enough food for his, for his kingdom. We must feed Tar Satan on daily basis. And that's why I've cautioned Amazonian fighters, never remove the head of a terrorist. Because Tar Satan will reject and that person might come back in another form. Always make sure that you send them in full to Tar Satan. That is also part of Geneva Convention. Geneva Convention understands that when you want to send a terrorist to Tar Satan, allow him to go in full. We must not in any form touch anybody parts, because Satan does not eat what is already touched. It has to be in full. And so we pray that for any target, you should always never miss the head and go just straight and pass like a needle, so that Satan can have it without any little blood missing. So fellow brothers and sisters, I challenge everyone. If you are watching me now, you ask yourself, what have you done for the nation? Don't ask what the nation have done for you. Today we are standing like this telling Bia that Cameroon must go down, and it's already down because we know what we have done in the past to make sure that things work and things don't work. I can tell you because I'm a living testimony. I can tell you I know the suffering of our people because of a living testimony. Some people always want to be politician. If I go to my area, I don't need to practice politics before people understand me. They know who I am back in the days where there was no struggle. So we want to challenge you. As I am talking today, I want you to be the one talking tomorrow. That the nation call for duty is for everyone. At this time, the state needs you. They need me. They need all of us. It's a national call. Ask yourself. In days ahead, I want everyone to be very proactive. Let us do it once and for all. Your job cannot be to type rest and peace. You can see for more than a year, I am no more longer typing rest and peace. I am looking at the solution. And the solution is nothing else than to make sure that our valiant soldiers are defending homeland very vividly and very, very strong. We have to make sure that they are all armed to teeth. We have to make sure that they have a lot of strength to withstand the terrorist. And that is not done with the mouth. That is done with whatever we give them in their hands. Fellow brothers and sisters, come to think about this. Imagine, feel how it feels to sleep in the bushes, defending women and children without knowing from any direction the enemy is going to hit you. If you come to think about this, going to ground zero, some of us, it cannot even, some of us for the past 3 years have not even seen ground zero. Not to talk of some people that were on exile 10 years ago. And so we would want to appreciate anyone that put efforts to make sure it doesn't matter $1, £1, it doesn't matter whatever you give. We want to appreciate everyone that have been standing since day one when we started this. I want to thank everyone that have been social media warriors. We're fighting the war in so many battlegrounds. Social media is one of our tools. So I want to thank all of you that have been participating, all of you that have been doing your best. It is time for us to come back and ask ourselves, how did we end in the wrong path? It is time for us to understand, just as we told Milan Atam to wait beside the struggle, whether we know he was guilty or not. It is time for us to tell any leader that is failing the revolution to stand aside. I stand here looking at Amazonia people and crying. This is not hate. We can all agree that Samuel Sarko's name has brought the revolution down for a long time. It's the truth. He might not be wrong. He might be trying to do his best. But if your activism try to put down the struggle, it is time that we understand we are more than 8 million people. And therefore, one person alone cannot bring down the revolution. It is time for us to understand that the activities of Samuel Sarko and Chris Ano have brought us to where we are now. We are now like nickening and beckoning like bees in the lost desert. And all these things have been caused by the leadership of Samuel Sarko and Chris Ano that is not well articulated. And therefore, I call each and everyone, it is time for us to come and rekindle our gluing splints. It is time for us to stop experimenting on human beings. The struggle for humanity cannot be an experiment. Human beings do not have replacement. Even in the laboratory, if I was to be to be experimenting on a guinea pig, once the guinea pig, when I make a mistake, I have to go look for another guinea pig. But unfortunately, human beings are not guinea pig. There is no laboratory on earth that has accepted human dissection or human experiments. And therefore, as a people, we must understand that directly or indirectly, we might have been experimenting on our people, trying to call for things like county by counties that have led us to where we are today. County by county itself was a test experiment on our people. And it has proven that, well, it might be a good strategy for raising money, but it has proven that it has bring a lot of tribalism, nepotism, favoritism, and all social ills that have led to the killing of our people by ourselves. And therefore, as a people that are willing to have their independence at all cost, you must be able to select the bad beans from the good beans. You must be able to pick out the bad beans from the good beans and trash in the trash like our normal culture. We must be able to winnow our crops, our cash crops, winnow it and blow dust out of it so we have the finest grain. Fellow Amazonians, fellow brothers and sisters, I would want to thank all of you that have given your best. Even though some of you might think you are not giving your best, but remember, it is always good to give something. You cannot give what you don't have. But as much as you continue to understand that each and every one of us have a gift. Some of you might not be gifted in money, but gifted in words that motivate people that have money to give. Some of you might not be gifted in motivation, but you are gifted in community mobilization. I've seen some people that have offered their homes to our leaders to stay. That itself is a duty that we need from each and every one. I've seen some people that paid flight for leaders, personally. I saw some pay trips for leaders, provide dinner, supper, breakfast for leaders. That is the duty. That is what we call patriotism. Therefore, each and every one should ask, what are you good at in this that you are not giving into this revolution? Fellow brothers and sisters, what are you good at? Are you doing it for the people, for your people, for the sake of humanity? It's not for the sake of the mouth. You hear me, you only hear my mouth talking. But each and every one of us, including me talking, have a duty to do behind the scene. Are you performing that duty? Are you doing that? For every time I have reminded all Amazonians the story of the rich man and the poor man in the Bible. The poor man died and went to heaven, to paradise. The poor man was a homeless person. He was sick. Sore was coming out from all his body. He had no one to take him to the hospital. He had no food to eat. He didn't have a house to stay. But he used to be in front of a rich man's house. And the rich man will pass every day dressed in good garments and living a lavish life with his families and kids and women. But he would not remember that if he eats and food remain in his table, he should take it out to the poor man. He would put it in the garbage and trash it. But the rich man was not the one who caused the problem of the poor man. The rich man was not the one who was responsible for the poverty of the poor man. The rich man was not the one who was responsible for his sickness. And the rich man was not the one who made him to be homeless. But guess what? God has given each and every one of us conscience. We call it common sense. You've got to think. You've got to reason. Salvation is personal. And each and every one will be held accountable. I call each and every one not to lose your salvation because you are busily doing things for yourself and forgetting that humanity must be served. Maybe you are busily taking care of your children and you are working so hard, your children, but you could give just $1, $2, $5, $10 to the community and that will help your family. Human salvation is personal. So the rich man, the poor man died and went to heaven. Paradise was sitting beside Father Abraham. The rich man later on lived his lavish life on earth. He was sick, he go to hospital, so he lived longer. And then later on he died because each and every one of us will die. What profit a man to gain the whole world and not his own soul? What profit a man to gain the whole world and not his own soul? Nihil salvat nisi caritas, nothing serves charity. The rich man died because no one is indispensable to death. Everyone will die. He died and went to hellfire straight. Why God put him in hell? God said, you live a lavish life on earth. There was a poor man who used to sit in front of your house. You gave him nothing to eat. You gave him nothing to clothe on. You gave him no medication. You did not give him water to drink. You did not provide shelter to him. You live a lavish life with your family. You had everything in excess. And you will throw food from your leftovers from your table. Crumbs from your table. But you will not think about the poor man. And God decided to send the rich man in hell. As the rich man was in hell suffering, one day he lit up his eyes and then he saw beside Father Abraham was poor Lazarus. Poor Lazarus, and he cried, Father Abraham, I am begging you now, I am begging you now. Father Abraham, send me Lazarus, I am thirsty. begging Father Abraham to send Lazarus to dip just the tip of his finger in water and let it drop on his tongue, for he was thirsty. The rich man begged Father Abraham, send poor Lazarus, please, to come and dip just his finger in water and let it drop in his tongue. And Father Abraham reminded him about the lavish life he lived on earth, drinking gallons of clean water, living a lavish life and eating very juicy. Father Abraham reminded him and said, this was a poor man that used to sit in front of your house. You did not clothe him, you did not feed him, you did not remind him, you did not give him medication. You did not provide shelter for him. Now he's living in heavenly kingdom where he deserved to live. And now because life is a payback, and now because everyone will be judged, and now because we all will pay, because salvation is personal. Rich man, you are now saving your salvation in hellfire. And the rich man said, okay, now I know I will live and die and burn in hell every day. But I don't want my family, my children, my wife, my uncle and aunties to be victims. Father Abraham, can you send poor Lazarus to go on earth and preach to my uncles, my aunties, my children and women to begin to give and share to those who don't have? Nisi salvat, nisi veritas. Nothing served but the truth. Father Abraham replied him and said, listen, salvation is personal. Each and everyone has conscience given to him by God. Everyone has a conscience. Your children have their own conscience. Your women, your uncles and aunties, they all got consciences given by God. And each and everyone must use their own conscience, because salvation is personal and we all shall be judged individually. What profit a man to gain the whole world and not his own soul, fellow Amazonians? I want to thank fellow Mandelas. These are the people that understand the gospel of merciful and cheerful giver. These are people that understand the duty of the republic as true citizens of the nation. These are people that are patriotic. These are people that are born to succeed in life, because the hand that give it, take it. Because God will bless anyone that give to those who don't have. You have got to share. And you don't share because you have. If you cannot share when you have little, you will never share when you have more. Because the more you have more, the more your problems are also big. When you have small, your problems are small. So it is very proportionate that if you cannot give when you have little, you will never give when you have more. My father used to look at me when I was in primary school. When we go to the market and I will be given 100 francs to go and buy my Alaska and my candy. I would take 100 francs. Back in the days, they used to sell 5 or 4 boxes of matches for 100 francs CFA, colonial currency. And I would take that money and go and buy 5 or 4 boxes of match, go to the village and look at poor old grandparents. And I would go and give to them and share to them. I was even below the age of 12 doing these things. We all should learn to give. If we all are Christians, as we believe that majority are Christians, but then we become hypocrites. Christians are people who do not sit quiet when people are suffering. Christians are people who do not sit quiet when they have money in their bank account, when there's growing humanitarian needs. Christians are not people who sit quiet when humanity is perishing. Like Charles Borromeo says, woe betides if I don't speak the gospel. Charles Borromeo. When you look at the canon law, the Lumen Gentium, the biblical stories, you will see the act of charity serves humanity. Like it said in Latin, nihil salvat nisi caritas. Nothing serves but charity. I've always said to people, my friends, peers, co-workers, colleagues, schoolmates, I've always said every time, there is an unexpected reward for doing good. And sometimes the reward comes in a way that you don't even know. Like I always say, you are about to abort a plane, and that plane is about to crash. And something happened, maybe you forgot your passport at home. And you are like, oh damn man, why I forget my passport? I hate my life. But you don't know the reality is that God do not want you to travel in that flight. Maybe that flight, you didn't hear the flight went successfully and landed. But maybe if you were inside that flight, it could have crashed. Sometimes your wife, your children, your family members are driving wherever they are, maybe in a taxi, in a motorbike, Okada, or whatever the means, or train or metro, and he was about to have an accident. But because of your good deeds, God takes away that karma from their family members. We have all heard in the Bible that when parents do sin and commit crime, God can send it to the generation. And so, doing good too, God can send good to your generation and your children. Fellow brothers and sisters, let us ask ourselves today, as we are going to end the talk show today, what are we doing for our humanity, for our people? Today I've seen a family that was killed in Ngabu, in Dongamantung. And I want you all to see here and ask yourself, what are you ready to do for these children? Do you want to adopt these children now that the fathers have been killed, the mother has been killed? A family all completely wiped out and only 3 children remain. I want you all to watch the screen and ask yourself what you would love to do for these children. And this is not the case. My organization, before the struggle, has almost 300 orphans. Before the struggle, 300 orphans from not even the entire Amazonia, but from one part of the state of Amazonia, from one state of Amazonia, Bui state of Amazonia. And so, we want to ask ourselves, what are your plans for the orphans? What are your plans for the children that have no parents? Because the gunmen, La République du Cameroon terrorists have wiped out the parents. I want you to watch this video here. This video here is from Dongamantung and is for one of our families that lost everything. I want you to listen to this. Look at this. Watch your screen. Watch your screen. These children here don't have a father, don't have a mother. Their mother was killed. Their father was killed in the recent attack in Dongamantung. Look at the poor children. What are you willing to do for the poor children? And this is not the only case, because there are so many of those cases. Cameroon government said so many lies, but these children here are a living testimony of everything that happened. They saw what happened. They said the Mbororo people, so many of them and some soldiers of La République du Cameroon government perpetrated the acts. Gross human violation. Gross human violation. These children here speak, they said everything. These children are speaking and saying everything that happened. Saying it as it happened. This small child, the one with the pink dress, even put the light in the military face. He didn't know it was a military man. And they asked her to take off the light. That was when she discovered that was a military man. And then she ran from the back of the house, went and hid in the bush. Coming back, they killed the mother and the father and the rest of the entire family. These other 2 children here were sent to go and give some vegetables in the nearby. When they were coming, they heard the gunshot, and then they immediately hide in the bushes. That's why they are alive today. Coming back to their house, they have killed their mother, their father. Everybody was already killed. Their brothers killed. The husband, their father is in Soman. Fellow brothers and sisters, what are we doing for our humanity? What is the ultimate sacrifice? And we want to thank each and every one of you, because I cannot continue to watch this video because it's very, very terrifying. To see children like this, see the small one like this, who will love to be with the mother and father every day. It's not even like a father died now because of sickness and leave the children with the mother, or the mother died in sickness and leave the children with the father. No, the entire parent are killed, mother and father. So this is why I continue to appeal to all of you. If I cannot beg you to help the humanity of your people, to help your people, who should I solicit? Who should I beg? I call each and every citizen, all Amazonian, especially everyone abroad. All of you who are abroad calling yourselves students, what profit a man to gain all certificates on earth and not on the soul? You want to go to school to gain all certificates, but you don't ask yourself, what profit you to gain everything and not the soul of your people and not your own soul? Some of us have skipped our terms, our academic terms, because of the struggle to see how we can give to our people. It doesn't mean we are dull. Our people, our children are not even going to school. They're in the bushes. Refugee camp, they don't have what to eat. But we live lavishly abroad. We can go out in the street and walk, drive Uber and help. Sweep routes, do everything and help. Take extra hours in our job every week. Every week, extra $50. In a month, you will find yourself very, very softly with $200 to help. I call each and everyone abroad, especially the Americans, those in Canada, those in Belgium, Germany, UK, those of you in Europe, entire Europe. What are you still waiting for? If everyone waits like you, how shall we arrive? For whatever status you have in the struggle, ask if everyone was like you. I will be proud to be a Wali on the move. I will be proud to be a DP UEFA Noxon. I will be proud to be a Mom Nagela Gilles. I will be proud to be a Erica in this revolution, and Erica in this revolution. Because I myself too, I will be proud to be me, because I know every Amazonian be proud of the nation. And by being proud of the nation, you are bound to share to the nation. Fellow brothers and sisters, remember, we have lost a lot. There's no looking back. These are my last words for today. We are not going to look back. We have already lost. We already have the ultimate sacrifice, the blood of our people. And therefore, we cannot look back. It is nothing but on the independence. There is no any other choice. If you want to have another choice, then you have to bring back our people that Cameroon has killed. There is no U-turn in life. We have already had our guns and bullets to defend our homeland. And therefore, we must continue in that spirit. I can hear from my spirit. I can hear from my instinct. I can hear from my inert nature that we are a never again people and we are gone. Whenever I talk and close my eyes, I see nothing that we can break. I see no mountain that we cannot flatten. I see no valley that we cannot fill. I see no thorns that we cannot clear and walk on straight paths. But we must believe in ourselves. We must stop believing in other people. We must stop believing in external agents. We must believe in ourselves. And believing in ourselves is being focused. Believing in ourselves is being determined. Believing in ourselves is what I term consistency. And so if we are consistent, determined and focused, we will arrive in no time. I see a clear path. I see light in the tunnel. The future is pregnant. Our children shall have employment, befitable jobs, live in mansion, drive in 21st century cars. Our children shall drive in well-tarred routes. The Trans-African route pass in our nation. Don't forget, trade will be booming. There will be amazing trade in our nation. We have the biggest economic capital, Bamenda, booming every time. Our economic, our capital, Boya, booming. We have Victoria right there, booming. That house international tourists from all over the world. Those who like to go to the beach side, to the ocean, where you can look and see a fish and say, I want to eat this fish. I want to eat this fish, and then they get it for you, roast, and you live the life you want to live. That is the way we are fighting, so our children should live such a life. Freedom of press, freedom of expression, freedom of religion. We want to build a land where anyone can live freely. Where anyone of any sexual orientation has no discrimination upon. D. A land where any human being that is not harmful to another one can live. We want to have a nation where each and every human being of every domain can live without being harassed. A land free of terrorism. A land free from terrorists and extremists. A land where everyone will mind their businesses and make sure the well-being of the neighbors and the well-being of the nation. A land where anyone who drive in the route will care about the route. A land where anyone who farm will care about global warming. A land where anyone who do any hunting will care more about preservation and protection of our wildlife, especially the endangered species. A land where we shall plant trees to limit greenhouse problem, global warming. A land where we shall do a lot of farming, commercial. A land where our people we have to do intensive rice cultivation in the Ndop plain, where we are going to improvise and give subvention to our farmers and help our teachers and our schools develop our academic curriculum to suit and match the taste of our children's education. A land where our children will never be mocked at their poor grammar, just like we are being mocked today. That is our goals. That is our prerogative. And yes, we can do it. Fellow Amazonians, I call on each and every one of you to be very focused. Pay less attention to critics that do not add to our value. Pay less attention to everyone that has been sent to put our shoulders down. Raise the shoulders of your brothers that are standing as valiant soldiers. Revitalize the winning spirit. Exacerbate much force to the oppressor. Let the oppressor and the adversities and their collaborators know that we are aware. Let all enablers know that there is no room for Judas Iscariot in our land. Let them know that the impunity that they have subjugated our people into, we shall exert the same force upon them. Let them know that we shall enact the same force or equal reaction to them as they do to our people. But there's one thing we must let them know, which we can never do. We will never become rapists because they rape our people. We will not break international laws because they break international laws against our people. We will never rape their daughters. We will never rape their women. We will never rape their girls because they raped us. Because we are a people protected and the people defined under international law. And we respect international law. Just like we respect the Geneva Convention with our code of conduct. We urge all soldiers to understand soldiers cannot practice judgment. Once you hold a gun in the hand, you cannot in any way practice any form of judiciary proceeding. You cannot be a judge once you are a soldier. Because when the people see you, what is in their mind is a reflex of the gun and bullets. You know how our people have been terrorized by the oppressor, by the enemy with guns and bullets. And therefore we call our soldiers to refrain from any act of judgment. Judgment is not limited to marital problems. Judgment not limited to land disputes. Those things should be halted for now until the time we arrive. Aren't we not fighting to have a common law jurisdiction? Let us hold those things for now so that our common law will take charge of that. We continue to give respect to our soldiers. I call our civilian population to feed the soldiers. Make sure that the soldiers have what to eat. You want to cook some fufu, make sure they have break one and give to them. You cook even a head for fish, cut one, give to soldier. You get one planty, cut one bunch, give to them. Any small thing where you get even a cocoa, break some little cocoa to give them for the maiden chop. I call everyone, this is a collective effort. First World War, when First World War been day, when they fight, the Japan people win them because it be been a collective effort. For Japan, everyone, anything where they hold them, anyone be encouraged for fight the enemy and not fight among themselves. That's why Japanese people, even though they be social people, they fight, they win the First World War. And the Second World War, the Japanese people almost win them. If nobody say America be throw away some big pumpkin for Japan, so they come explode 2 times, kill people, they never stop. Japan for still win the Second World War because they believe in what we call collective efforts. Therefore, I submit all Amazonians to engage in collective efforts. Now, the final point is our leaders in jail. Yes, our leader Ayo Seseko Tabi is in jail. He has been incarcerated by some of us that are moving freely, impeached. All sorts of nasty things have been done against his reputation. He been called compromised while he was never compromised. Lawyers that are moving with feet and canals have lied against him. We know he's innocent. The regime has incarcerated him, and some of us have been incarcerating them, blackmailing him, sabotaging him, castigating him, and demonizing him. And therefore, we the people that are not wicked, cannot in any way withstand such scrupulous behaviors. And so, we stand with Ayok Seseko Tabi. And we understand he cannot free himself. That is why we stood with Dr. Cho Ayaba today, the leader of Guns of Amazonia. Because of the action of Dr. Cho Ayaba, there are so many people in Amazonia who didn't believe in self-defense today. But for them to enjoy the sound of an AK, they have disarmed an ADF force. So many fighters in this struggle for them to have ever seen an AK, they saw it with ADF. And there are so many groups in this revolution, and we know that if they have an AK today, it was because they disarmed an ADF fighter. And therefore, ADF indirectly has supplied, unfortunately, even those who did not believe in self-defense. Even though they do it scrupulously and illegally, that they will come and disarm their own brothers who have the guns, that they did not believe even in self-defense. But indirectly, AGOVC ADF has been supplying directly and indirectly those who come and take by force. One thing we must let them know is that even though you come to take by force to defend homeland, when you take, make sure you defend homeland and stop killing your brothers that you take the guns from. Me and you know salvation is personal, and we shall be held accountable for the acts we do. And I have chosen to be on the positive side of life. I've chosen to be on the merciful truth side of life. That if we all stood against self-defense before, saying that we are a peaceful people, and Dr. Cho Ayaba is a terrorist, is an extremist, and today we are standing with his roadmap, I would always say, forgive me, Dr. Cho Ayaba, for the time I was fighting you. Forgive me for the time I didn't know you were real. Forgive me for the time I didn't know you were speaking the merciful truth. Forgive me for the time I used to fight you that you were against federalism, but because you were saying that federalism will never be given, and that Cameroon is a terrorist and cannot act without force exacerbated on them. And therefore, I am guilty for the time I was against Dr. Cho Ayaba. As a normal human being that's real, Dr. Akwanga is there. I've always said there were two fathers of self-defense in Amazonia, Dr. Akwanga and Dr. Ayaba. But Dr. Ayaba, being very young and very energetic and so much full of enthusiasm, has built a force in Ground Zero. He himself going to Ground Zero and launching self-defense in Ground Zero. Fellow brothers and sisters, the very same week he launched self-defense in Ground Zero, we witnessed 4 La République gendarmes were sent to Tasatan. 1 regional delegate of social affairs of La République in Bamenda was sent to Tasatan. We all saw Dios being kidnapped at the time of the Vipers. And so we are calling each and everyone to give credit where credit be. We have to build a nation that is full of accountability, the rule of the law, and honesty. We have to build our nation with honesty, a lot of truth, tremendous efforts, the rule of the law, and accountability. And therefore, there are 2 ways to account. One, either you account by giving the materials, or you account by giving the people the funds raised to provide the materials. 2 ways to account in the revolution. One, provide enough materials, because when people see enough materials, they don't care about accountability. Example, in my trip we have given 500 acres to Amazonia. Sako will be an angel. If my trip we has 500, in fact, let us even say 200 acres to Amazonia, Sako is an angel. Is that possible? Do it, and we will call you angel, and you will be surprised if we are the one. So our motives is always that we want to motivate each and everyone to remember Ground Zero. Our crime is that we should always try to give power to Ground Zero. Our crime is that we have been calling all groups to supply. I don't think if we are La République, we will be against Sako for not supplying Ground Zero. La République does not want to hear supplying Ground Zero. We are against Sako because he does not supply Ground Zero. We oppose him because we want him to supply Ground Zero. And La République cannot do that. So when you call us La République, you are exposing your non-entity. You are exposing your demagogy. You are exposing your empty head and empty brain and foolishness. And therefore, we are bound to not act as Amber fools or Anglo fools. Bound to act like people that have common sense and brain. Example, if you run behind ADF forces to join you, you run behind ADF forces to join you and they don't join you. When they don't join you, you tag them as La République. That means that you were running behind La République to join you before. You have to understand that people are watching us and laughing us. I've seen BBC reports saying how there's also in-house fight skyrocketing us. We must call ourselves to order, each and everyone individually, because it starts at home. Charity begins at home. And therefore, each and every one of us should call for discipline and self-discipline. And that's why I have decided to make this talk show the way it is today. It's actually a self-discipline talk show, so people can understand the reality. I think that you are tired of seeing blood shedded. I think that you are tired of seeing yourself not having the independence. And I think that you want to have it very fast. And I think that you want to see your people living a life and enjoying the fruit of our labor today that we have given. And I think that you can understand each and every one of us has spent 3 years non-stop. You all understand that the enemy will want us to give up. But then we have said, Nakatapila go move for the revolution. Anything Atanganjipor and La Republic do, na wata, the boy. Wata, na wata, ekelebe, where them day. We must continue to motivate our forces and stand with them quickly. So to conclude for today, who among you is not happy of that video that you saw? Who among you, it doesn't matter which force in Ground Zero is leading the community, who among you is not happy to see when our forces are coming and the population is coming from the bushes to welcome? But when La Republic is coming, what happened to the people? If La Republic was coming, this is the reaction for our people. I wonder.
At the sight of this armored car, total commotion took over the motor park in Kumbo. Businesses had been going on hitch-free this Friday morning until the passing of this armored vehicle, which accompanied members of the peace caravan to the Bui division to explain the resolutions of the major national dialogue. The reaction of the people who took to their heels follows warnings from the separatist groups who had asked the population to run whenever they see a military vehicle. Failing to have a conversation with the population at the motor park, which was supposed to be their first stop, the caravan then drove to BBH quarters and
So fellow Amazonians, you have seen now how our people react when they see terrorists coming to the community. And when they see the children, their own children, our brothers, this is how they feel. It doesn't matter. This is what we need to build our self-defense forces to be like. Look at this. If you would not like this, let me know. After watching this, you can see the legacy of General Ivan Ba. General Ivan Ba was the one that was leading this convoy. And you can see they were just passing by. And citizens here that they were passing and they want to just see them and touch them, you can see that. But you know the enemy was not happy to see this happening. And the enemy will make sure that all these soldiers are killed. And then the worst is when we fell victim of that. When we were propagating hate, causing so many hate, that led to the killing of our soldier. The very same night that Ivan was killed, we all saw in media so many things that are unbelievable from some of us that believe that we are Amazonians. And today, we killed him. The nation lost. The nation lost. But this is somebody who laid the foundation of self-defense in Amazonia. The first person to have ever taken guns against Amazonia. But then we could not protect him. We failed to protect him. And that is part of salvation history. We shall be held accountable. Salvation is personal. We failed to protect ours, and the enemy feasts upon. And in so many cases, we feast on our people instead of protecting them. We shall be held accountable for whatever we do on earth. I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you so much, fellow brothers and sisters. It's always a pleasure being with you. tomorrow is another day. Like I said, I shall be coming live most often to brief the people about the going and what's going on. We are winning bigly and fatly. And I think that it's good that I drop this one before I go, so that we can hear also the reporting of the international community. Listen to that.
Civilians and other abuses by the armed forces of Cameroon as well as by the separatists. We point out that the English-speaking separatists are armed. They call their territory Ambazonia, and they accuse Cameroon's President Paul Biya of sanctioning the attacks. For more, we're joined by the Vice President of self-proclaimed Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Denis Hurley. He's in exile as the rest of the Ambazonian cabinet has been jailed for life by Cameroon. Denis Hurley, thank you very much for joining us. You're actually calling for the UN themselves to go further and launch its own fact-finding mission on the ground in your region of Cameroon. Basically, you don't trust Cameroon to carry out an independent investigation. Is that the case?
Well, that is correct, because you cannot, what the UN is doing is a farce, because you cannot ask the perpetrators of a crime against humanity to go and do an independent investigation of the crime that they committed against our people. That is purely a farce. I believe that we are calling on the United Nations Security Council to come up with a resolution and send an independent fact-finding mission, an unbiased independent fact-finding missions to Ambazonia and to Ngabu in particular, to come up with the truth and the facts of what happened in Ngabu on the 14th.
Denis Hurley, you're talking of genocide. You've mentioned this in many things you've released online.
So we don't trust.
And there are many very disturbing images that go with the things you've released online too. And your supporters released those things as well. Can you tell us more about the concrete proof you think you have about genocide being carried out against the people of Ambazonia?
The UN representatives on the ground are reporting about it. BBC is reporting about it. The Roman Catholic Church and eyewitnesses have confirmed those stories of our people being burnt in their homes, houses destroyed, villages.
Sorry for the poor resolution. There is actually poor resolution. Sorry for that. But anyway, that was the Vice President of Siseko Ayoktabi, Daphne Yerima, talking right there. Also, we also have seen a communique from the Catholic bishops writing and asking for the Swissless process or something, whatever. I've asked the Catholic bishops. Desmond Tutu was a bishop. He acted in the rightful way. I asked the Catholic bishops to give us enough offertory for guns and bullets. If the church care about our humanity, the church should arm the army of the people. If you go to Vatican, there are armed people in Vatican. And somebody will be mocking me that I'm asking the Vatican to give guns and bullets to protect humanity. David was a son of God. David used the bow and arrow against Goliath and lived longer. And so you cannot tell me that the useless Vatican is more than David, more holy than David. Prophet Elijah was a prophet of God, or Elijah was a prophet of God. Prophet Elijah slaughtered fake 450 prophets of Baals that were worshipping the fake god called Baal-zebub. Prophet Elijah went to heaven in the wild mist, body and soul. After Jesus Christ and Virgin Mary, Prophet Elijah is the only person who was perceived to have gone to heaven with body and soul. He just disappeared. He slaughtered 450 fake prophets of Baals after the sermon at the Mount. Fellow brothers and sisters, the Vatican, if you care about the people of Amazonia, the Vatican should unleash trailers of AK-47 to the people of Amazonia to defend women and children, especially the Christian. Your bishop and priest are under duress. Your bishop and priest are under La Republique's subjugation to impunity. And so, if our soldiers have enough guns and bullets, your bishop and priest will also live well. And your Christian will not be terrorized. Your Christian will not be raped. The children of your Christian will not be raped. We have all heard Bishop Kia or Mamfe saying, and therefore, We are asking Vatican to give us not. We don't want anything like peace plan or grandmaster coming. We want guns. Simple. Tell Vatican that we have said that. If they cannot give guns, they should stop rubbish writing. They are not tired of the rubbish writing. Communicate upon communicate. The peace plan they gave to beer and beer trash in the Vatican before leaving. What have they done? And therefore, we are asking Bishop, please, the Sunday arms that you raise every month, every week, every Sunday you raise arm, give us for 4 months, and we will liberate homeland. And then we will have to make a state banquet for you. So tell Vatican we have asked for more guns and bullets, and not some more guns and bullets. David prayed the Bible, pray. After praying, he used bow and arrow to strike Goliath. When Moses took the Israelites crossing the Red Sea, what happened? Moses had to use a weapon, which was a staff, to hit the water to separate into two. That was a weapon. For every journey, there is a weapon that must be used on earth. The people of God in the Bible have used weapons for every journey. In fact, the war fought between the Amalekites, Palestine, the Philistines, that was wars, holy wars, as they call it in the Bible. And therefore, our war is ordained by God. Therefore, it's a holy war. We cannot lose it. Thank you so much, fellow Amazonian. Thank you for coming. God bless you. Have a wonderful time, and see you tomorrow. I wish and pray for everyone to succeed in everything you are doing. I wish you all the best, and never give up. Remember the reason why we are not giving up, because we know that the few people who never give up always will have success. And we know that this independence is just delay, not denial. And we are fighting for it. And we will not give up. We continue to pound and pound every day, because we know that it's our right to fight to be free. Fellow Amazonians, stand strong. Be tough. Be rigid. Believe in yourself. Like I said in this talk show, don't believe in any Oyobo person somewhere. Make Oyobo person one act in a compliment. Make it be in a compliment. Not be saying, now independent will come for court, or now we will go do this for Oyobo for do this. Forget about that. The more we get guns and bullets, the more Oyobo people will start talking for us. Oyobo man like tough man. Oyobo not like weak man, because weak man is a lazy man who will always rely on them. Oyobo people are tired of sustaining weak countries. When a country is tough and strong like Saudi Arabia, like the Middle East, people start to respect them. You can see America making ties and gun deals with Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is a tough country, right? So therefore we need to be tough, so that every country should make ties with us, diplomatic ties. You don't want to make diplomatic ties with a weak country that will only depend on you. The EU is leaving the European Union. When the UK leaves the European Union, because of what? Because of the dependency in the European Union depend more on them. And they are tired of feeding European Union, breaking even the economy of the European Union. They are tired of that. They want to build their economy now. During the Peloponnesian Wars, during the Cold War that was fought, a bipolar Cold War that was fought, why Stalin decided to retreat back to the Soviet Union was because he wanted to go and take care of his people that were suffering. He now saw that the international organization, the international body was not with them. And so he retreated. Fellow Amazonians, we must all understand all around the world where we are. We must increase the level of our remittance. The level of our remittances must increase. And the level at which we look back home must increase. Please, Biko, if you not do for your people, when will you do it? If I not beg you for do for your people, I go beg who? I go beg a Tanganjipo. Please, Biko, na beg a beko. Carry all man for abroad, a beko. Fellow Mandela, see una for back house. Thank una plenty for the good job when I don't do it. Erica, big bag for cash, woman. Thank you so much, big bag. Big bag money, Erica. Thank you so much for bringing always a big bag of money every time. You have announced 3 big bags of money today. I want to thank you so much. DP, God bless you, DP. Will be, thank you for the $200 pledge. Thank you, God bless you. Mom Nagela Gilles, God bless you already for the pledge. Lizzie, Big Mommy, I don't hear big news. God bless you. Grandma, I know I'm waiting for you too. God bless all when I don't do good. God bless all when I believe in. If I believe in humans, I believe in Mandelas. You are the real definition of humans of the 21st century, because you understand the stakes at hand. You understand the state of affairs, and you are the citizens of the republic, the patriotic citizens. So God bless you. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful time. See you again another time, and goodbye.
Yuma yonga berwi yo, yuma yonga berwi.